All right, before we wrap up the class, I want to just go over the website for the National Weather Service local offices once again, because I didn't go into full detail on some of the things you can find here. Just so you know, if you go to weather.gov and you put in your whatever your local office location would be for Central and Eastern Virginia, it happens to be AKQ, which is the symbol for Wakefield's office. And again, I think I mentioned this in another video. You can click on anywhere on this map here, which is their area where they of jurisdiction, so to speak, where you click on that and you get the 7-day forecast. But of interesting note here is below, and I'm going to just refresh this page here. There is a weather story page right below that that's updated every day. And in this case, the weather story is talking about, let me go back here one frame. The weather story, and I'm going to have to refresh that once again. Click on weather story, and it pulls up the weather story for today, which is the fire danger. And I'm recording this on June 6th. So we have increased fire danger because it's been very dry and past few days, and it's going to be very hot and kind of breezy. But you go here, you have any different pages you can pull up. You can pull up the coastal waters forecast, Chesapeake Bay forecast, and also the climate data for the previous day, which shows you the highs and lows for all of these locations within the Wakefield area. Okay, so kind of cool stuff there. But the main weather story for today on June 6th, anyway, is the fire risk. Now, you go below here, and I wanted to just talk quickly about these spots on the page. All of these icons here, and there's, I don't know how there's six, there's basically, a bunch of them. There's more than a dozen of these, 18 of these icons that basically tell you different aspects of the weather you might be interested in. For example, we talked about Skywarn earlier in the class, how you can be a volunteer and participate in their Skywarn program. And you click on that, and it tells you where the classes will be coming up. So if you wanted to participate in that, you can just click on that. If you wanted to look at radar, you could click on that. Radar. It gives you the local radar picture for Eastern and Central Virginia. Um, Current weather conditions, click on that. It gives you the current weather. You have to pick a location that you want to know the current weather for. River and lake forecast, satellite pictures. Satellite view here shows the latest satellite pictures and gives some really cool, look at this, really nice satellite pictures. You can pick your sectors and all of this kind of thing. Just lots of wonderful detail available there. Forecast maps. This is from the Weather Prediction Center. Shows the big national picture of forecast maps. You can go through and look at all of the different products here, which I talked about in a previous video from the Weather Prediction Center. Hour by hour forecast gives the data forecast, rather. You pick any city, for example, pick that location, and it gives charts or actually tabular data of what weather can be expected over the next 48 hours and beyond. Okay. Tropical weather update, nothing tropical brewing right now, but it gives you the tropical update here. It says there's basically nothing in the tropics that is forming at the moment. Um, the graphical hazards. This is cool because it talks about the rip current risk. These are current hazards that are happening over the area and their area forecast area. So it'll give you the latest on that. Marine forecast, forecasters discussion. If you really want to get the detailed information of what the Weather Service folks are thinking in the forecast, they update these every 6 hours or so. And they give a detailed discussion of what parameters they think are coming into play for the forecast. Really good information. Gets a little detailed now, but if you really want to know the meteorology and stuff, that's a cool site to look to. Okay, it gives really good. And by the way, if you want aviation weather, for example, at the bottom of every one of these, they have the aviation forecast. Tells you what kind of weather conditions are expected for people flying. Okay, and then it gives marine weather forecast and conditions down at the bottom of every one of these major AFDs. They're called area forecast discussions. I clicked on Skywarn before. Storm reports. If you wanted to participate in sharing storm reports, you can click on that and you report your storm report directly to Wakefield. Climate data, this site here, you need climatological data. There's a site you can find that, and there's various links via that page. Fire weather we just talked about because we have a current risk. Beach and surf forecast, coastal flooding, And then heat, we talked about heat in a separate video this week. And there are forecasts for the wet bulb globe temperature, which I talk about in the heat video I did, and which you'll see. And then apparent temperature, which is the heat index, the traditional heat index that we've been so accustomed to. So basically, lots of cool stuff right here on the Wakefield and every local office website, okay? And if you ever get confused by, hey, there's too much information here, there's always headlines at the top. Here's your local map here with a story in the middle, and then any one of these icons down at the bottom. Click on any of those for the information I just shared with you. So some really good stuff. I think it's really cool to look at that, especially if you're interested in certain kinds of weather, certain time periods. It'll give you that very easily and quickly.